Unforgiven. This, of course, is Clint Eastwood's Oscar-winning 1992 film. Kind of from a similar era of films, like the early 1990s, when there was kind of like a resurgence in the Western, and kind of bringing a different kind of perspective to it, like kind of like a sensitivity, basically. This one, of course, it kind of the interesting just theory about it, like the concept behind it, is that like the rootin' tootin' gunslinger that you see in all these movies, um, who has a very very impeccable talent of killing people, shooting people, drinking whiskey. Clint Eastwood, that's I can't do a Clint Eastwood impression. Don't worry, but kind of the concept behind it is that what if this person grows older? What if they want to find some kind of redemption, which is kind of the starting point of Unforgiven, I think. Basically, Clint Eastwood plays William Munny. He's definitely in his elder years. He was a rootin' tootin' gunslinger in his past. He killed many a people, and as we learn in some cases, some women and children, unfortunately. Though he wouldn't be able to account for all of them being drunk off his ass most of the time. So there's that. But basically, this person was redeemed by a woman, of course, who freed him of his wicked ways. Then she died of tuberculosis, and pretty much this character, he drifts away into obscurity, kind of leaving the face of the planet, sort of, raising his kids, farming, things like that. Not really in any kind of notoriety. And so that's an interesting kind of starting point to the movie. Like thinking, these guys, if in their general kind of movies that they walk off or ride off, I should say, into the sunset, where do they go? And I think Unforgiven attempts to make an answer for that. And of course, kind of what sets it up is basically, the plot of the movie. Basically, these two cowpokes, well, one of them cuts up a hooker, and they feel the hookers in the town of Big Whiskey or Little Whiskey. They don't feel that justice is being served. The sheriff of the town, Little Bill, no, I think it's Big Whiskey, Little Bill. Little Bill, played brilliantly by Gene Hackman, who actually he won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for the performance, which well deserved. He's so good in this movie, seriously, so good. But he just kind of says, "Oh, well, give me some of your horses, whatever." And then they put up a bounty, and basically the plot of the movie is Little Bill trying to stop bounty hunters from coming into the town of Big Whiskey. One of them being James Coburn, playing English Bob, in a great scene. It kind of like it's one of those scenes that kind of is like an aside from the movie, but it establishes the Little Bill character and kind of what he is capable of doing, and what his motivations are, what his drive is, and how he reacts to certain situations, and how much of kind of pretty much like a badass that he is. So the movie kind of shows that with the English Bob character, and James Coburn, though he's really honestly he's not in the movie that much. Though he is billed, like, of course, he's on the poster and everything like that. His name's there. He makes an impression. It's a very good performance. Playing kind of like this cowardly, of older age, bounty hunter, basically. And following him around is the writer, Sol Rubinek, who kind of just jumps from person to person, finding a new interesting person. Of course, he follows Little Bill. So that's kind of how it brings the story together in that sense. But basically, Clint Eastwood, William Munny, and this young kid, this young up and coming assassin, basically, is knows of where to find William Munny, and he basically kind of recruits him to take these fellers out and collect the bounty. And of course, Clint Eastwood brings his old buddy along, Morgan Freeman. So it's kind of like the three of them on their journey. And it is interesting that it's that specific crime that inspires William Munny, reluctantly so, to seek justice, to whatever, basically. He's a complex character in a genre that wouldn't necessarily allow such a complex character. Um, and basically, I think kind of why he wants to go on this journey. And of course, it's part of it's the bounty. I mean, the money is good, of course. Um, but I think specifically because it is such a horrific crime against a woman is kind of what makes him want to do it. Like he kind of feels like his wife is watching down on him, sort of like that. So it's a kind of a sort of in a weird kind of way, in a morbid kind of way. It is like a love story between the William Munny character and his devotion to his wife. And so basically, the movie, it does have its twists and turns, but it is kind of more about bringing more of a humanity into the genre. How killing a person truly does have a consequence to it, which I really liked in this movie, and kind of the sort of redemption, sort of corruption of William Munny, and again, very complex character. Eastwood is great in the role, definitely one of his best roles. He of course starred in this as well as directed it. William Munny is such a great character and an interesting one, especially that end. I won't give away the ending, but it's quite an incredible ending. Eastwood was nominated for an Oscar, so was Gene Hackman, and as I mentioned, Gene Hackman won. Eastwood won Best Director. The film won Best Picture. If it weren't for the fact that I love Scent of a Woman so much, again, one of my favorite movies I mentioned in a prior review, this definitely has its place, not just in westerns, but in all movies, because kind of as this sort of modern, again, that generation, that early '90s sensitive western, I guess, it brought a unique perspective to a genre that usually in the past, say like 50s, 60s, was fairly black and white. So I think kind of starting with Dances with Wolves, there were other movies that kind of followed this trend. And this was definitely the peak of it, of that kind of renaissance in the Western. So kind of, it has its place. And I think it's a fantastic movie, very emotionally evolving, very, the dialogue is very kind of poetic and kind of the Old West kind of way, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to quite describe it, but, it's a hell of a thing killing a man. You take away all he ever was and all he ever will be, and it's good. I like it. But yeah, I think it's a great movie, and that's pretty much all I have to say. That's my review. Thank you for watching.